How you doing? Aaron Reed here at Powerhouse Gym, downtown Tampa. I'm gonna talk about what you tall guys need to be doing on your bench presses to get the most out of it, to work with your long, oblong bodies, you know? I think that first thing where we need to start is hand placement. When it comes to, you know, hitting your chest with a bench press, it's really important to find that happy medium of shortening your stroke a little bit by going wide, but not too wide, okay? Because if you go too narrow, if you go too narrow, you'll end up dumping too much stress on your tricep. If you get your hands in too close, it dumps all the weight on your tricep. Now you're losing out on your chest and your shoulders. You spread out a little bit, you're gonna get a whole lot more distribution of the overall upper body with the bench press. Now you gotta understand the bench press is like a compound movement. I mean, there's a lot going on, a lot of muscles are working to make it happen. Once I get started here, I'm gonna talk about, you know, where your shoulders should be to get the most growth, because there's some different things you can do with your shoulders. You know, if you have your shoulders forward, you're gonna use more shoulder. If you have your shoulders back, you're gonna use more chest. And so I can talk about how this affects the actual growth of your chest. A lot of people have weak spots in their chest because they're actually not executing the right contraction in their simple movements, whether it's a bench press, with the barbell, with the dumbbell, cables, whatever. I'm gonna do my best to show you guys, you know, right here in real time, you know, what it should look like to hit the entire chest while you're working out. You know, your feet are also a factor. You know, you wanna have a wide stance. The other thing is, because we're really tall, we're gonna have weird sticking points typically. So I find that my sticking point is my chest, okay? And so I'll do things where I work the bottom area of my chest, so I'm stronger there to get it off my chest. Once I get it off my chest, you know, we're good. Well, then once you build that strength up, then your sticking point's gonna be your triceps, you know? And so if you can work your triceps like crazy, you'll get through that sticking point. It just depends, you know, you gotta ask yourself, are you all about the numbers, having a big bench press? In my 20s, I was that way. Or are you all about having that big chest, that Arnold Schwarzenegger chest with, you know, your man chesticles up in your chin? You know what I mean? Is that what you want? I mean, that's what we're after. So I think the best thing to do is just kind of get started and show you guys, you know, how to do it. Okay, so first of all, we're gonna start with hand placement. If you go too narrow, you're gonna use too much tricep. I see some guys in here pressing like this, a lot of tricep. You're gonna have really big, badass triceps, but you're just not gonna do a lot for your chest, okay? If you go too wide, you're not gonna get the height on your chest that you want from a contraction, because when you contract out here, if you look at the chest, it's not as tall as when you come together. So you gotta find like the happy medium, okay? So for me, the happy medium is I like to put my index finger on the mark right here, but some bars are different. You just gotta find that comfortable spot. I just know where I am. But at the end of the day, when I come off the bench, I want the tension to look like this at all times, okay? That way my chest is firing right from the get-go. The other thing that's important is when I'm coming down, you know, it's ideally to pinch your back together, okay? And this helps pull the shoulders back and make you use more chest, all right? Now, if you're not doing that, what'll happen is you'll end up flattening out and you'll have your shoulders do a lot of the work, all right? And if your shoulders are doing a lot of the work, you already screwed up, man. So at the end of the day, like, you wanna have control to where you can pull your shoulders back, and then we're gonna use our chest. The whole point of like doing this motion is to build a bigger chest, and it looks like this. Okay, you can see that right away, the tension on my chest is already there, okay? See now, if I didn't care where my shoulders are, I'd be here. But I pull my shoulders back. I like to pull them back just a little bit. That way when I'm down, and when I'm squeezing, I'm actually squeezing my elbows together. By squeezing my elbows together, all that tension's on my chest. Okay? Now when you first start doing this, it might feel difficult or awkward, but your chest is gonna grow, and that's what you want. So it looks like this. Now, if you have sticking points, you know, it's not a bad idea to work the bottom range of the motion, which is in here, okay? I will do this if I want a bigger bench, if I want bigger numbers on my bench. Since that's not the case, I just stay with my tension, squeeze, squeeze. The traditional stance, like my hands outside of my knees. I personally like to duck my toes a little bit. I feel like this drives a little bit more attention to my quad and glute a little bit, and still get a lot of back recruitment out of the deal. But it looks like this. So you'll notice when I'm doing this movement, I kind of have to clear my knees on the way up. Anytime you get that bar out away from you a little bit, you're gonna lose a little bit of power. But again, this is to build our back, to have a big back. That's the whole point. When it comes to a sumo stance, this at a young age, I was pulling over 500 pounds for reps, no problem, because the range of motion is shorter. You go with a wider stance, so you're closer to the bar, okay? Being very tall, the bar is basically at my ankles, you know? So if I go with a wider stance, what happens is I get closer to the bar, I don't have to pull it up as high. So now it's almost like shortening my stature. So for a sumo, you go a wide stance, and then it's really all about pulling backwards, not up, but backwards. So as soon as I start pulling, I'm driving my hips forward and I'm going backwards. That's really the whole motion. It's about swiveling your hips. Hips come out, hips come forward. And I don't really feel that in my back. And I'm easily 80 to 100 pounds stronger on my deadlift doing it that way. So you just need to decide, you want numbers or you want size. So that's the difference. A lot of tall guys screw this up all day long. It's all about range of motion, guys, okay? Feet placement are key, but there's a large range of motion where you're not getting any tension, okay? When you squat all the way down where you're supposed to be, where it's toughest, that needs to be home to you, all right? When you start coming out of that loaded position, all right, and it starts to get easy, you need to go right back down to that loaded position. There's a couple of things that are going on. Number one, all right, we're trying to grow bigger quads. You want bigger legs, okay? So all you have to do is treat them like any other muscle group, all right? And completely annihilate those muscle fibers, find muscle failure as quickly as possible without losing your cardio, okay? Because as a tall guy, especially, growing up the way I did, train with different people, I had to figure all this out, okay? And I used to train with this guy that was 5'4", and he was a badass, and he trained hard, and he loved to rub it in my face that he was stronger than me, could squat more than me, and the whole deal. And I hated getting beat, so I just worked really hard, but numerous times I'd be passing out or throwing up, every week, pretty much, And so I figured out nutrition, so I stopped feeling like I was gonna pass out, but sometimes I would still want to throw up, okay? And so what I realized is by going all the way down and coming all the way up, you go all the way down and then you come all the way up. What are you doing up here? What are you doing up here? You're just resting for your next set, I mean, I don't care what you squat, you can probably double that and rest it on your shoulder standing there, wherever you are. So you shouldn't be there. That should not be where you spend any time throughout your set. Your set should be completely loaded the entire time. You want to keep as much time under tension as possible. I call it the Aaron squat because I've been doing it for years, because one thing I figured out when I used to work out with Big Bob is if I went all the way down and I didn't come all the way up, and I went all the way down and I didn't come all the way up, I could get through my reps without wanting to die, and he didn't talk any smack to me, So I was like, okay, well that's working. Well, luckily that worked out, and it made my legs grow like a weed, made them grow like weeds because they were under tension the entire time, because my levers are so long, about this much range of motion, there's no tension. There's nothing going on. And I see guys squat, that's as far as they go a lot of times. Forget about it, man. You shouldn't even came in if that's what you're gonna do for your legs. Just telling you. The other thing is, get your knee over your toe a little bit. When you start getting a narrower stance, you're gonna use more quad, okay? You're gonna use more quad, more outer quad. Your knee's gonna come over your toe. You're gonna have to do that. You gotta fold up with these long levers. Don't worry about it, okay? Just stay tight. Do not bounce at the bottom. That will hurt yourself, or hurt your knees. Do not bounce, all right? If you wanna be a little stronger, you go a wider stance. You go a wider stance, and you duck your feet out. Now we can use our hips a little bit more, start using our glutes a little bit more, It's one of the ways that I would cheat with my ass a little bit, okay? You can get your numbers to come up and you can get a bigger squat. You still gotta get down. You still don't need to come all the way up, okay? But this will put more thickness on the leg if you go a wider stance right here at the top, okay? If you go with your legs closer together, you're gonna get more thickness at the bottom of the leg, okay? It just is what it is. So really important to make sure you know where the tension is, but I'm telling you, if you'll do this right, and you'll stay with the tension, your legs will blow up before you do, okay? And 9 times out of 10 with a tall guy, I'll watch them squat and I see how tired they get because they go all the way down, they come up and they rest. They all the way down, they come up and they rest. And it basically becomes an aerobic workout because, you know, they're doing so much resting, their legs are not getting executed properly. If they would just stay with the tension, their legs would die before they would. I got a free report for you. This is called the 7 worst testosterone killers. I want to check that out. All you got to do is click this box, put your little email in there, we'll send it right out to you. If you're on a mobile device, you can't click this box, so check the description below, it's right in there. Click that top link, 7 worst testosterone killers, to get the free report. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and leave some comments. Your opinion matters, we want to hear from you.